We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
All right, sincerest apologies for that breaking transmission. I know that in the while in the course of the news this evening, we'll definitely bring back our correspondent Asia Storm to come back and air her thought. But for now, let's move to national news, and we'll definitely connect back to Asia Storm.
All right. Bringing the story back, a private car marked Toyota RAV4 has been set ablaze by armed men believed to be Amba fighters Tuesday, August the 6th, 2022 at mile 13 Santa. And the occupants of the vehicles are nowhere to be found, and the car is completely burnt down to ashes actually. Those at the neighborhood of the incident confessed to have heard gunshots and could not dare to check what was happening. They only got out of their homes hours later to find the car being consumed by flames.
On Tuesday, August 6th, is a day for the resumption of school for the 2022 and 2023 academic year, given that the official day for resumption, which was a Monday, is a ghost town in the entire southern Cameroons. Now, prior to this day, there were voices and counter voices of an imminent lockdown. Now, weeks before, there was a video in circulation of a masked armed man calling for an 11-day complete lockdown of southern Cameroons to protest against school resumption. Now, these announced 11 days were to run from September 5th to 16th, 2022. At the eve of the supposed lockdown, another video was in circulation by one couple, Daniel, denouncing the lockdown. This unfortunate owner of the burnt car might just be one of those who believed in the second call for no lockdown of the car, therefore left the house in the early hours of the morning just to be victims.
Things have been waging on why the car owner was in a hurry to leave the house in such a confusing atmosphere. Many got up that day and were very observant, not willing to be the first to hit the streets for fear of the unknown. Though places opened timidly that Tuesday, by midday, life was in full gear. Well, here's this image of the car in flames. You can see the car right there in flames. It is an unfortunate incident. Well, there's another story we'd like to bring to you. Gabellison reports.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
The notorious controversial chief of Bosa village in Boya local government area, who doubles as an element of the Colonial La Republique du Cameroon's elite force, the Rapid Intervention Battalion, BIRU, was involved in an accident in Boya, September 7, 2022. An eyewitness conferred to Undaunted that Moja's car lost brakes while descending the hill around the colonial governor's office, causing him to crash into an electric pole at a roundabout. He was immediately rushed to the Boya Regional Hospital while car was still parked at the scene of the accident spot. Being an element of the Colonial Republic du Cameroon forces, the scene where the accident took place was flooded with military elements who strictly prohibited the use of phones in the vicinity, and phones were not allowed in order to stop people from taking pictures, since he works for the colonial government to fight against the separatists. Senator Mbella Moki arrived at the scene shortly after the accident occurred to confirm. Moja Moja is notorious for constantly torturing youths in the Atlantic Zone in the name of fighting separatist fighters. He has most often than not taken the law into his hands. One notable incident was his torture of a pregnant woman who ended up being sent to jail while her torturer walked free, and this woman finally gave birth in prison. Moja Moja's excesses are known and encouraged by the authorities, given that the Prime Minister once cautioned him to order, but he never stopped, and it also exposes the powerlessness of the Prime Minister's presence in La République du Cameroon. Human rights lawyers led by Barrister Tamfu has expressed the desire to make the ruler and soldier pay for his numerous acts of torture and assaults against civilians in Boya and other parts of the southwest region of Cameroon. He says his attention has been brought to a number of videos wherein Chief Moja Moja is seen intimidating, torturing, maiming and assaulting innocent civil Cameroonian citizens for no good reason. To the best of my knowledge, this guy is a military personnel of the Cameroon army and a chief of a certain village. We cannot continue to sit back watching this guy unleashing terror and acts of violence on innocent civilians with impunity, stated Barrister Tamfu. He adds that in a recent video, he saw Chief Moja Moja kicking a young man into his car boot. It is not clear what awaits this young man, nor certain that the young man is still alive or dead. Barrister Tamfu: I will be leading a criminal complaint against this Chief Moja Moja in the days ahead with other human rights advocates and lawyers. It is more than time we make him pay for his crimes before a court of law. I will teach him that no one is above the law in Cameroon and that no one can take the laws into their hands, as he does with all impunity. The responsibility of the Republic of Cameroon in protecting the life and property of its citizens is put in jeopardy by Chief Moja Moja, Barrister Tamfu notes. Moja Moja, who is being described as a licensed human rights violator and xenophobe, late last year targeted a 30-year-old pregnant woman, Antoinette Kangzo Gola, who alongside her 2 children was dragged from her husband's house in Sanpete Boya, tortured, paraded along the streets, and later handed to gendarmes. He has on several occasions accosted, tortured, and disfigured many young people in Boya under the pretext of hunting separatists fighting for an independent state called Ambazonia. As we peruse through social media, it becomes clear to Moja Moja insensitivity has probably been a turn-off to Ambazonians. Comments and reactions show that people will prefer Moja Moja's end. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
All right, thank you so much, Gab Ellison, for that report. Now, according to that Gab Ellison's report, presently in the hospital bed, the in-house slave chief of Boisse village, John Ewume, self-styled Moja Moja, is now seeing the emptiness of life. Nobody is a superman, and there is no strong man that will forever remain strong. Now, nature has it that way, and it's also a way of humbling people. Moja Moja, who is also an element of Rapid Intervention Battalion BIR, who lately has proven to be untouchable, is presently depending on others to care for him. Where the mystical powers, he claimed, were his protection. Will he humble himself if he recovers from this shock? Well, we hope he is given the chance to have the feedback of public reaction to this.
Well, that's right on. It was another day of shock in Ambazonia, precisely in the equatorial zone, on the road leading to Kumba from Muntengene. About some persons shot to death and several wounded in a Golden Star travel agency bus. This is a situation the people of southern Cameroon are compelled to live with. It is now common to get up in the morning and see a corpse by the roadside in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia.
Well, right now, it is known you're seeing corpses even by children in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, not to mention hearing the sound of gunshots. Kindergartens are even able to tell when a colonial military is shooting and when it is Amba fighters. It is a fact that southern Cameroon's Ambazonia is a war zone and at war. The suffering southern Cameroonians are into is just too much, and the pain keeps growing on a daily basis. The question many are asking is it necessary to subject a people through such pain?
A bus belonging to the Golden Star Travel Agency came under attack on the afternoon of Tuesday, August 6, 2022, en route to Amba, an equatorial state of Ambazonia. And the attack left 3 people dead on the spot and many others injured, accusing fingers are pointing on the Amba fighters to have carried out the attack. Those having this view base their argument that the Amba fighters carried out the attack in an attempt to enforce ghost towns is not being respected. Weeks earlier, there have been a call for ghost towns from an unknown person masked and carrying a gun. The video of this individual on social media was imposing an 11-day lockdown, commonly known as ghost towns, and the announced lockdown was to start August 5th to August 16th, 2022. Though fingers were pointing on the Amba fighters, no group has claimed responsibility of the attack, so Undaunted cannot independently confirm the author of the attack, unlike the case of what happened in Bafut that same Tuesday, known to have been carried out by 7 Kata of Bafut. On Tuesday, August 6, the 7 Kata of Bafut, a self-defense voluntary group, mounted a roadblock forcing all those on board vehicles to continue on foot. The operation ended without any casualties, and the reason for their actions was not disclosed. Well, you can watch this footage for yourself. This is a footage of people in a bus that were shot. Let's see this video.
Ouais, mamie. Non, attendez un peu avec la matière. Là, on va prendre le temps. Un peu partout. Ouais. Oh, le chauffeur est mort. Le chauffeur est mort. Regarde là-bas. Le cerveau, il sort. Par le travail des Amba. Le travail des Amba. Oui, celui-ci, il a filmé, le chauffeur est mort. On prend la main ici alors. Venez, venez, on met la main. Attends.
Ambazonian parents have threatened to withdraw their children from school should La République du Cameroon colonial governor of the Northern Zone, Lady Lafrique, insist on sharing the colonial La République du Cameroon flags to their children. The school resumption atmosphere was tense on Tuesday, September 6, 2022, in Bamenda local government area when some parents who accompanied their children to school for the start of the 2022-2023 school year met with the colonial governor and the La République du Cameroon colonial administrators with flags to share to the children.
What is behind such a decision from a moribund colonial administration to share flags of an antagonized country on foreign land if it is not another ploy to tell the world that La République du Cameroon, the occupier oppressor, is still in control? Have flags become some of the didactic materials that these children who lack even benches, classrooms, pens, and exercise books? Is it what they need? Will the flags replace the colossal PTA fees or levies that have sent many children out of schools?
About the education, I think it is high time for the La République du Cameroon colonial regime to know that no amount of cajoling or wooing of Ambazonians to remain in servitude will work again. You can't fool other people all the time, for what God has put asunder, no one can put together. What does this tell you? That Ambazonians are sensitive to colonial dictates and are tired of oppression. If this isn't an aggression of a belligerent occupation, then what is it? Recent happenings in Ambazonia as the cabal in Yaoundé struggles to preach ahead of the United Nations General Assembly UNGA 2022 only falls flat and at variance with reality. While our correspondent from Los Angeles, Asia Storm on this caption, Diplomacy, U.S. Foreign Policy in Africa, and set forth solid points in this regard. Would like to hear her now.
Okay, yes, thank you. Um, I first I want to my state about the Queen. Um, 60 years ago, this beloved enslaved Amazonia to French Cameroons who have been oppressed, and and the Amazonians have been oppressed from that moment, and who are now under vicious attack to to be totally out annihilated. So Amazonia to the French Cameroons for 200 millions. Can we imagine in the furthest reaches of minds and souls how one can sell an entire culture of human beings for 200 million pounds? See them being executed and never look back. If you calculate the number of Amazons who have been born, lived, and died since 1961, you will see the pennies per life that these human beings were worth to this monarch, this queen. Um, and I believe everything else was heard. So right in from there, um, and please, I don't know if you heard me. I'm asking to look for the tweet by the president, Dr. Sacco, which gives clear understanding of what the death means and how the opportunity for her to correct the wrong that was done is gone, at least from her. And my call out to all of us is to support the team of us that will be going to that, the reigning king and duchess. We want answers. We want them to change this. We want them to do something about this, and we will um, bring it back to the answers that we get. And going from there, I just want to um, address diplomacy and what's happening as the UN Assembly is about to meet. Um, we got such an opportunity. I pray so much that we all take it and take it very seriously. Can really save the lives of the Amazonian people. We can really move out from there to save lives everywhere. Um, so moving into diplomacy, get familiarized with what areas do we need to uncover and activate and make back powerful again. So in that, you about the black and the white of diplomacy. What is international diplomacy? Who and how does it help? What country uses its diplomacy for the greatest good? And how can we learn from that country? Diplomacy is the practice of communication and negotiation between representatives of the state. Its main function is to ensure peaceful relations between countries, which may include negotiating international trade deals, discussing mutual problems, implementing new policies, disputes, and healthy relations between countries are not only good practices to keep people safe, but also promote successful trade policies between nations, international relations, encourage travel related to business, tourism, and immigration that move opportunities to we the people to enhance our lives. International diplomacy facilitates communication between leaders of states and other entities. Without diplomatic communication, there would not be any international system, and thus no viable interaction between states, completely obliterating the, the economic system of our world as we know it. The top six countries with the best diplomatic grade follows. United States, of course, number one in international influence rankings. The United Kingdom is number two in international influence ranking. China is number three in international influence rankings. Russia is number four in international influence rankings. Germany is number five in national influence rankings. France is number six in international influence rankings. Observe good faith and justice toward all nations. Cultivate peace and harmony with all is always the best policy. Spoken by our America's first president, George Washington. Diplomacy is the message we observe good and justice towards all nations, to cultivate peace and harmony with all. We, the people, must bring new order to our world. Obviously, the raising up of this needed order is not to be left in the incapable hands of leaders in our world without our watchful eyes. So, what should we be looking for as we watch our diplomatic leaders to be certain that they are being diplomatic? We have the technique today to become involved with world decisions that impact our lives. For centuries now, we have left such decisions in the hands of our political. The leaders, we go out to the polls to them in, and then we go home and forget about them. It is clear that such luxury of ignorance has evaporated. Ignorance is not bliss. It is a deadly poison. No matter our education levels, but do educate ourselves. No matter our economic statuses, no matter who we are or where we are, we have the right to be involved in the government of our world. Now is the time to get involved. As written in a report by Daniel Franklin, a diplomatic editor of The Economist, he asked a question that I believe all of us should want to answers to. Who will win the world in 2022-23? International institutions such as the United States have been weakened by great power rivalry. Russia will be a spoiler, not a leader, and Europe, Johnson, Prime Minister of the UK, will have his hands full with the aftermath of Brexit. Germany's Angela Merkel will leave the stage, and France's Emmanuel Macron has limited means to pursue his grand ideas. China is a rising superpower and increasingly assertive one, but yet not key, let alone able to take on the burdens of the world's leadership. The question is whether America under President Joe Biden will be prepared to step back up into the role. For some years, America, weary of its wars, has been in retreat. Barack Obama believed it was time to focus on nation building at home. Trump took to withdrawal with gusto, pulling the country a long list of international arrangements, including the Paris Climate Agreement. In the middle of the pandemic, our former president, Donald Trump, pulled us from the World Health Organization. America has stepped back. Golden authoritarian leaders have stepped forward, posing a challenge to democracies everywhere. The end of that excerpt. This is the main reason from my vantage point that unjust wars in the form of genocide can hide in plain sight, wreaking devastation in its wake, because these superpowers who are ranked number 1 through 6 have stepped back. So horrific killers who rank as world leaders forward with vicious attacks against innocent civilians. What can we the people do? No matter how strong my voice is or how fierce determination is, I can do little alone. We the people must unite to demand change. We must raise our voices to call the superpowers back to their roles as world diplomatic leaders. No gun, no bank account, or threat of war can hold a candle to the power of the voices of we the people. What we the people do? We can. Thank you, Ms. Starr.
All right.
All right, thank you so much, Asia Storm. Thank you so much. That was a very, very smart report on the diplomacy, U.S. foreign policy in Africa. Listen to your report. Well, we also have the story about floods, how it is challenging the in-house Leaf City Mayor of Victoria. Let's have it.
The rainy season is always a period where the lapses with the planning of the towns and cities are exposed. One of the usual challenges in the rainy season is dealing with floods. The situation is worse with the equatorial states of southern Cameroons that are around the Atlantic Ocean. Though floods can be accused to nature, human actions can equally be a promoting factor to floods. The usual human action promoting floods in southern Cameroon is poor town planning and the dumping of plastic on water runways. Stakeholders charged with the responsibility of planning the layout of towns and cities have failed and are still failing in the planning of the towns and cities in the southern Cameroons and Amazonia.
These carefree colonial administrators do dish out buildings permits indiscriminately without any consideration for the future well-being of the towns. The reason for this is the corrupt nature of these so-called administrators. The inhabitants of Victoria and equatorial states in southern Cameroon have been hit again by floods. Is it that the attempt put in place by the in-house Leaf City Mayor of Victoria to curb floods was not enough? Must the so-called administrators only get up from slumber when there is a disaster?
Now bringing you this full report, the recent heavy downpour in the city of Victoria and other localities of the southern Cameroons and Amazonia has come with negative effects such as floods that arise from the overflow of rivers, streams and trenches. Last week, Undaunted reported about floods and the devastating effects in Victoria and how the in-house slave mayor Paul Efome Ellen Ngale of Victoria City Council, who descended on the field and promised to ease the situation after the very devastating effect of floods, and indeed started work.
The Victoria Council, after staggering for months with a fleet of heavy engineering equipment to suffered same technical hitches, the Colonial Victoria City Council excavator and other equipment were brought back. The first mission of the excavator mission was to address the flood issues experienced around the Njengele River. The excavator did clean along the river banks, digging out all debris and ground which have accumulated to block the culverts which causes the usual flood. This well-calculated action, championed by the in-house leave Victoria City Mayor, after much pressure from the population, was welcomed by the population who have recorded lots of floods since the start of the work a couple of days back. The impact of the action to deepen and broaden the Njengele River was felt. According to Colonial Victoria Council Technical Director, it speeded up the drainage of water experience at the Manga Williams Avenue each time it is flooded by heavy rains.
It was reported that with the heavy machines back on full gear again, other actions like the rehabilitation of international market roads will be addressed. Well, unfortunately, all the effort of the Victoria City to counter flood is proven invaluable, as Victoria was still covered by water the last time we checked, which is yesterday, August 7th, 2022, as a result of floods. Well, let's have a look at this video coming in from Victoria City on the floods.
My four limbe, hey. My four limbe, hey.
You've seen the video for yourself. It is now evident that surrogates of the colonial ruler of La République du Cameroon need to go back to the drawing board on how to better plan for development. Well, we're moving with the news.
All right, let's look at this great news here. Going to talk about a great person. The fate of Nsobu still lives on after his demise. Well, Field Marshal Nsobu was able to mobilize and inspire Ambazonian fighters, and during his reign, Bui County was a death trap for the French Cameroon forces of occupation. Of course, you know, we are drafting Bui this weekend.
Field Marshal Nsobu was eminent. That's why he was a major target. The same reason why colonial forces used the in-house enablers under the Unity Warrior guise to kill him. While Cameroon was fighting Nsobu, we also had enablers disguised as restoration forces fighting him. Until now that we speak, Bui County is one of the hottest places in Ambazonia, because every day we see images of Bui County resisting the forces of occupation.
And just in case you didn't know, Bui County is a neighbor to Ngokentuje County, with a strong relationship between the restoration forces in both counties. So these two counties happen to be facing the same challenges. They have the record of blowing most of the armored cars that will come from Yaoundé through Maizem County.
Now, the proof of Nsobu's leadership cannot be undermined. Even after his untimely death, you can still see that those whom he trained are functioning actively on the ground. There are real actions that are still taking place in Bui County. Let's have a look at some throwbacks of FM Nsobu.
See the fully there. Amba
We no go hear you again.
All right, that's just some few heroic videos there. On Saturday, we'll have some more videos for your viewing pleasure. But before we continue with the news, we have a representatives here from Bui County, Dr. Yaya Fonye. She's a medical doctor by profession, and she's also the chief of staff of the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Nice to have you, Dr. Yaya.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Very, very cool. Uncle ladies, you're great. Ambazonia is so proud of you. It's a pleasure to have me platform today to talk of upcoming draft this Saturday, the 10th of September at 8 p.m. Amba time. We hope the entire Ambazonia come out numbers like for every other team. As well, a win for Boy is Ambazonia. One for all for the popular slogan. Nice to be here.
All right, thank you. So I'll just ask a question. We have our correspondent, Asia Storm. She would also ask you a question. So, and Star Smart also would ask you a question. I just want to know, we've had many counties drafting so far. We have so many counties that have structures on how much everyone is supposed to draft. We've seen that play out here. I just want to find out what should we expect? Is your county going to do more than other counties? Is Bui County going to supersede other counties, or would they do lower? I mean, what should we expect from Bui County this weekend?
Oh my God, that's a tough one. I wish I had our first team on board would be able to give those projections numbers. But what I can say is we've had this challenge over years in rising people to join the. A lot of people who are very, very, very rich, simply decided away from the struggle for reasons which beat my imaginations. So it has been a struggle. What I can tell you for sure is that the few who decided to stand on the side of truth and to mankind, we have decided to do a better job than last year. This is I cannot give you evidence because unfortunately I am not involved with the finance department. I know that the core has held this the Bui county over the years. We're definitely to people and hoping to get more people coming and draft. And yes, so we are expecting as well from the entire Zonia to also come and trust me, within the core, we are reaching out to people who drafted. So I hope that we'll have better than last year. That helps.
All right. Well, I can't wait. Just hold on. We have our correspondent from Los Angeles, Asia Storm. Ma'am, please. You would have a question for Dr. Yaya.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Yaya. My question is the draft mainly for Ambazonians, and if external people, external Ambazonia are welcome to participate in the draft, how do we let them know, or how are you letting them know that they are welcome? Or is there already heavy participation from people that are not Ambazonian?
Oh, wow, that's a very important question, Asia, and I'm happy you brought primary. Like the saying goes, charity begins home. We say the draft is the civic duty of the citizens of Ambazonia. It is the basic, we can call it the war tax, so to say, responsibility of an Ambazonian citizen. But however, it doesn't limit, it is not limited only to Ambazonians. Of course, we have citizens of the people, great people like you who care about peace and justice and care for humanity across the world. So We are not putting risk. We always welcome friends, sympathizers for the struggle. People have never really achieved freedom, independence without cooperating with others, with other well-wishers. So the answer, no. While it is compulsory, so to say, for an Indian or a former British Southern Cameroon to pay their draft, it is not exclusively limited to just Ambazonians. So Asia, you're most welcome to draft for Bui County and why 13 counties. How are we doing? How are we reaching out to the world? I think that is probably something we can work on more. We hope by word of mouth, by great networks like you and many other friends, Zonia, and through our very, very able national TV, which is the voice of the Amazonian struggle. We can see our ladies and the directors who are doing the work in the background. So hopefully the information and sensitization, and also we have foundations with the pitch options. The is a huge crisis that has resulted from a senseless war that was brought or imposed upon us by the colonizing neighbor of La Republic of Cameroon. So yes, we do have those outlets. Probably we need more often. You're going to those channels to reach a broader population that can actually sympathize with our plight and be of help to us. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yaya. One last question in regards to the draft. What has been the challenges, facing in regards to the draft when it comes to enablers and La Republic du Cameroon's attacks? Because from the reports we've been having, Bouyi County and Ngoketun just seems to be having, it's like it's a hot field right now. It's like one of the hottest places in Ambazonia. So how are you guys coping with that, and what's your plan towards that in the draft?
Another question. The existence of the activities, unfortunately, of the coup plotters, whatever we call them, has caused pain and in terms of human loss, which is really sad. Because in a war and of independence, so to say, even though we did not call it as war, this is what it is now. It's understandable when there is loss of life as a result of the opposing teams. What in this case, La Republique versus Ambazonia or British Southern Cameroon. If it's still loss of life during a war, understandable. But when we lose valuable lives because of or reckless decisions coming as a result of greed, or I'm not sure what word to use, or just love for power, becomes very sad, where we incur deaths as a result of our own causing pain to ourselves. That is very unfortunate, but this is my nature. Unfortunately, this is not only seen in the Amazonian struggle. We've seen that across all liberation wars that we know. Human nature is what it is. Some people are bound to be sellouts. That's why we had the Judas days of Christ. So yes, that has a lot of pain, but the good news is that the truth never fails. And it's never in a haste, this is what the president, Dr. Sako, always, or this is his, he's never in a haste to rush to argue or to counter that have been told about. But just time just heals. Time reveals the truth. So time just on those lies or relations, and people get to, fall on the truth, and they see who is relevant. They get to know who is the relevant force to align themselves with. So it has a lot. It has taken us some steps back. It has but we are in the right direction in the sense that it has also done some filtering, and filtering the bad seeds means to me that it has put us on a platform where we can spring further because like minds can work more easily. I'm not sure if I can remember the second question.
All
Are we still
right.
on?
Oh, yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. I think there
Okay.
was a second part which I've forgotten. Sorry.
Okay, okay, I just got that now. All right, in regards to the drafting, there was one more thing I was wondering. Um, in regards to the gap that FM Isubu has, left, has created in Buyi County, how do you guys plan on filling that gap? I mean, he left a legacy, and then the ARFs in Buyi have actually lived up to his legacy. They've done a great deal of job there in Buyi County. But not just that, in reconstitution, how do you guys plan on doing that and filling the gap FM Isubu left?
Thank you. So, look, that almost brings me to because we lost a soldier, so to say. As a soldier himself was prepared for this ultimate sacrifice, and every soldier knows that it, like this. We pray that that is not the case. That most of our freedom fighters, our Amazonian Restoration Forces, will see what they fought for. But the honor in being a man or a woman in uniform is that you know that even when you go down, you're doing that for generations to come. And those of us who are blessed to be to have lived long enough to witness the freedom that they lost their lives for, we should be able to. And that is why, to me, money should never be an excuse. For those of us who have 2 feet and we have two and we have a mouth, we should consider ourselves
Yeah.
super blessed, not to be able and to be to the point that we have to donate, we have to draft, to bleed.
Okay.
Some people think that the draft is a show off. It is not. We have to do it because we cannot pay for his life. He has a young widow. He has young children. He has left behind. What do we? How do we think these people feel when we simply for sacrifices and march on with our lives, having posh holidays and parties and enjoying ourselves, and just forgetting to put $1,000? Us can do. We choose not to. So the first to do is to pay him respect, our deepest respect to Isubu and General Chacha, and so many others, and even beyond soldier who must have died without recognizing their name or without a title. So huge respect to our Amazonian restoration. Now talking about how we're filling the gap, I have our defense chairperson who is supposed to join via audio. He will be the best person to actually take this question. And as you know, we of the interment, we are an institute, and we talk about the people's because it is not a one-person show. I am the floor member in the county. I might be the chief of staff, but I am a floor member in Bushi, and I pay respect. I the hierarchy of my county. I respect chairman. I respect my defense chair and every other comrade. And this is just to show how this interim government works. The fact that FM Isubu was taken down and the county did not, as was the hope of the haters, or as was the hope of La Republique, it was that leadership is the thing that holds everything together. So there is good leadership from the defense perspective as well as the action. And that is what makes this interim government strong. The broad nature of this of the structures, and you have everybody, every expert playing their role, and all of this coming together to make things work. So, Captain Elvis, I want to. He had some technical issues with his sound. I don't know if he's able to connect now. Dr. Paddy, would you mind trying? Because he's the best person to answer this.
All right.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Yaya. Thank you so much. I mean, I love your words there. In as much as you are the chief of staff, you're also a floor member, and you're ready to do whatever it will take to ensure that the draft goes on successfully. That is the mindset everyone should have. You mustn't be a stakeholder, or you mustn't be someone that is a spokesperson before you do the needful. All right. Now, talking about the man who the cap fits at the moment, we have Comrade Elvis here in the studio. Although we are having a little bit of challenges, but we are sure we are fixing that right about now to have him here attend to us as well. We're trying to fix that right about now. Yes. Okay, so we have him right here now. Okay. All right. While we're waiting for Comrade Elvis to come up, I might just have to engage Dr. Yaya for a few more minutes while we waiting for Comrade Elvis to come up. But are there challenges that we counties are facing that is quite probably different to other counties? Do we have such challenges? Because I mean, when we put all of these challenges together, that's when we will know if the draft will be extremely successful when it comes to amounts that would be gotten from the draft. Do we have peculiar challenges that can be streamlined to just Bui County at this point?
Certainly we do, and that is not by chance. That's not a coincidence. Bowie County is quite peculiar, and this did not start with this phase of our struggle. In all the attempts, to actually bring this problem that has existed over half a century, the people from Bowie have always played a central role, a very key role. In fact, in the days of multipartism, which in a way, I mean, talking about the SDF, that decoy to actually have create, an opportunity for this problem to finally be resolved. But greed and selfishness, overtook some people like Frundi, and we're where we are today. And when we go back to those days, those were the 90s, when multipartism ever was introduced or was seized, so to say, because there was killing, there was bloodbath, there was unrest, there were protests and arbitrary killings, like we see today, not of the same magnitude, but that did exist. And one of the places that actually stood their ground and fought for this was Bowie County, and we lost, I guess, majority of lives were sacrificed for this struggle. So we earned the name of Baghdad because at the time, I think of the Iran-Iraq war, I'm not a historian, Baghdad was the hot spot. So actually Kumbo was known as Baghdad. And that is the spirit of the person from Bowie. We are naturally warriors. On the other token, I find it hard to think. I actually find it hard to say that many of us are very lukewarm towards this struggle. And I just feel people have lost their consciences. People have lost a sense of heritage, because I have the pride to say I come from the same county like Dr. Funland. These are great men in our history who, fought for good governance, and they knew that this problem had to be solved, but it was just not the right time during their reign. And they prepared us by speaking to our elites in preparation of a time as such, or such as this, where this struggle was going to come to an armed conflict, because they knew that, you cannot get freedom on the go. You must fight for it. It's just like
definitely.
Struggle.
Yeah, we must fight for it. All right, Dr. Yaya, thank you very much. Thank you so much for holding on for Comrade Elvis. Comrade Elvis is right here. He's connecting to us through a voice call. Comrade Elvis, thank you so much for coming, Comrade Elvis. Thank you so much for holding on still, regardless of the technical challenges that we had earlier on. Thank you so much for coming once again. All right, so Dr. Yaya was holding on for you, Comrade Elvis, and she was trying to speak so much on the vacuum that FM is left behind. I wouldn't know if you want to speak more on that, or you want to add your own thought on that, because we know that he was a great fighter. Would you want to add to that as well? Hello, Comrade Elvis, are you there? Hello, Comrade Elvis. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, but let me just be certain. Can you just say something again, just so that I'm sure I can hear you loud and clear? Clara? I heard you a minute ago or a second ago. Can you just say something again, Comrade Elvis? Hello, Comrade. Okay, I think that we should go back to Dr. Yaya to probably conclude on this, and I'm sure that if we can reconnect back to Comrade Elvis, we'll definitely have him on Saturday during our pre-draft show, where he will definitely join this conversation and air his thoughts and opinion. But right about now, okay, let's try again and see if we can connect to Comrade Elvis again before we round up with Dr. Yaya. Comrade, let's see if we can hear you right now. Comrade Elvis, good evening. All right, so it's obvious we can't connect to Comrade Elvis. Let's just have Dr. Yaya conclude this for us. Dr. Yaya, so I mean, you are destined to be with us this evening, Dr. Yaya. So I'm sure that all Bui County members will be excited that you are able to do this with us this evening. All right, so tell us, do your final shout out to Bui County members. We have today, Thursday, we have Friday, and we have Saturday. They have at least 2 days, 74 hours, if I'm not mistaken, to calculate all that they have to, and check their pockets and do all that they need to do to draft successfully for Bui County. So help us do that last shout out, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry, I was just communicating with Captain Elvis, and he just can't understand why he's having this problem. But anyway, what should I say to my people of Bui County and all lovers of freedom and justice and peace, lovers of humanity, to the citizens of the world like Asia and many, many other sympathizers and well-wishers of Amazonia? You're most welcome to attend this draft. We may call it whatever we call it, but it's simply standing for justice, standing for truth. So that is an honorable thing to do. For those of you, especially from Bui County, who are discouraged or confused or misinformed for one reason or the other, who believe that, and wrongly so, that fighting for your independence is a crime. No, it is not. The self-determination, the right to self-defense is a basic human right. It's as basic as the right to eat, as the right to clothe yourself, as the right to have shelter. And these are written down in the Constitution of the International of the Youth. So please don't be misinformed, and think about your brother. Think about tomorrow. A lot of you in different countries, different parts of the world, enjoying the joys, reaping the fruits of freedom and good governance. Okay, and a lot of you know that there's a history behind what you are sitting on. So that's why a lot of times I get very upset. But this time around, I have been taught and schooled to always give the benefit of doubt and say some people are actually living in ignorance. And to those of you living in ignorance or misinformation, Please ask yourself the questions. Why are you not living in Amazonia? Why are you out here? I am living out, where I am. I'm out of my country because that country does not give me the best opportunities that I deserve. So, by the virtue of us being in the diaspora, it tells us that there's something wrong. And if we go to the root cause of that, something that's wrong, we know that we simply need to restore our statehood. And it doesn't get given to us on a piece of, on a plate. So, we have to fight for this. So, please join us on Saturday, 8 p.m. Amba time, Saturday, the 10th of September, and defend your heritage and fight for the vulnerable
Now
and fight
that's
for those the voiceless. Yeah. Thank
those
you.
are the words I'm probably going to take to bed this night, and also all Ambazonians. I mean, you have to defend your heritage. All right, Dr. Yaya, thank you so much for making out time to be with us. Today on Undaunted. I mean, from all of us here on Undaunted, we say we love you, and we actually hope that we will make you proud and make every one of us proud come Saturday. But before we go, Comrade Elvis has been trying to connect to us, and so we're just going to try to connect to him one more time before we'll wrap up this section officially. All right, Comrade Elvis, I really hope that this time around we get connected really.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you again. Can you all hear me this time around?
Yes, loud and clear. So go ahead, Comrade.
Awesome. First and foremost, I want to thank you all moderators for this wonderful job. You women are awesome. You look great, you speak great, and you're just amazing at what you do. So thank you again for all you do for Amazonia. I did hear your questions, and I would like to assist my able comrade Dr. Yaya for her input. As with regards to the question of the leadership when it comes to the demise of our great FM Isubu, we do have a person who stepped in, who was an assistant to FM Isubu in the name of Major General Talk and Do. He is competent. He has been in the trenches alongside Isubu. He knows how things have worked, and he has held the boys that were left behind very strong and stable. Of course, we've had a lot of challenges. We do have a lot of great fighters too that are capable to lead, and that is one thing leadership always demands. A leader's test is known when he is gone. And ever since FM Isubu left the scene, just like when FM Chacha left the scene, Isubu stepped up to the plate. And ever since Isubu left, Major General Takandu have stepped up, and he's doing an excellent job. Ambazonia needs to support him, not supporting him a person per se, but the ARFs under his chain of command. They are the people that represent our aspirations, and they are the people that are fighting. They've already drafted with their blood, and so we are also demanded to draft with our own financial resources to help them overcome whatever challenges that the Republic would bring at them. The Blue Warriors are capable. They're formidable fighting. See, in the snippets, and we can assure you that there's more to come. We just provide them what it takes, and they will deliver for us. So thank you all, and just to assure you that the leadership is stable and that the war continues until Buya.
Those are strong words there. Thank you so much, Comrade Elvis. Those are the words that we needed to hear this evening. Bui is capable, and I'm sure that every Bui County member out there is ready. And other counties, remember, you are also supposed to support. All right, fellow Ambazonians, at this point, you know, of course, what we are up to next. It's time for us to bring you our editorial for today, and that's after this break.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
Why the war draft is a must now. Fellow Ambazonians, after 5 years of relentlessly fighting for the liberation of our homeland from the genocidal occupation of French Cameroon, it's very important that we remember why we are fighting and why it's so absolutely necessary that we continue to fund the struggle by joining the war draft and making even greater sacrifices than before. When the United Nations General Assembly in Resolution 1608-XV of April 21, 1961, granted independence to the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, they did not expect that 61 years after, this territory will be forcefully annexed and colonized by a belligerent neighbor. It must be noted here that the territory of the Southern Cameroons had already attained self-government as early as 1954, a status we enjoyed up to 1972, when the state of West Cameroon, Southern Cameroons, was illegally annexed, overrun and occupied by French Cameroon. And because the Southern Cameroons within secure internationally recognized boundaries, she had a functional police force under the direct command of the Prime Minister and head of government, including a mobile paramilitary wing that played the role of a territorial self-defense force. It was this vibrant territorial force that was illegally and surreptitiously disbanded by the Yaoundé regime in the mid-60s, when our nationalist leader and head of government of the Southern Cameroons, Bobe Augustin Ngom, was overthrown by the creeping annexationist regime of Amadou Ahidjo. So as we enter another patriotic war draft and fundraiser for our violent restoration forces, we must remember that just as we restored Dr. Ndele's government on October 1st, 2017, we are also restoring our territorial self-defense force, now dubbed the Ambazonian Restoration Forces, ARF. Charged with not only the defense of our country and our nation, but also with driving out for once the occupation forces of genocidal Cameroon. Taking part in the war draft for our Ambazonian Restoration Forces is therefore a great patriotic duty that we must all embrace. As we speak, the country of Ukraine is under attack, with parts of her territory occupied by the Russians. We have seen how the Ukrainians have risen like one man to defend their territory, instituting a war draft that has prohibited men from the ages of 18 to 60 years of age from leaving the country. Not only are they not allowed to leave the country, but they're also compelled to take an active part in the defense of their country against the occupying forces of Russia. This is the same patriotic fervor that we expect from all Ambazonians now in fulfilling our sacred duty of defending and freeing the motherland from the genocidal grip of Cameroon's occupation forces. Thousands of our young men and women have risen since 2017, picking up arms and fighting the occupation forces to the death. We've lost thousands with many more injured, while thousands more are in the bushes fighting day and night to drive out the occupiers. It's therefore imperative that those of us, especially those in the diaspora, that are not confronting the enemy on the ground play our part and fulfill our sacred duty of drafting, raising the funds, and providing the logistics that our restoration forces need to resist the occupiers. Fellow Ambazonians, joining the draft and contributing generously is not a matter of choice for any Ambazonia, but a sacred duty to oneself, family, and the nation. They say sacrifice makes gods of men, makes us sacred, so let us do our duty now. Our President, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, and the Resource Mobilization Department will be visiting each and every county soon for another round of the draft. Based on the current geopolitical atmosphere, this is a time for us to empower our restoration fighters on the ground to achieve some of our key strategic and military goals to once more prove to the world that we are ready to not only reclaim but to defend our country after liberation from any future aggression. By building a formidable, responsible, and credible self-defense force, Ambazonians will be proving to the world that we are a responsible state and ready to play a constructive role in the Gulf of Guinea. The rest of the world is watching and waiting to see how capable Ambazonians are in terms of establishing themselves as Africa's newest state. We must therefore make even greater sacrifices in our efforts to upgrade our valiant restoration forces as they lay their lives on the line to liberate Ambazonia. As a footnote, we must remember that it costs between $3,000 to $5,000 to properly equip each restoration fighter to effectively engage the enemy. So as we look up to our boys on the ground, expecting results from them, we must first ask ourselves how far we've gone to empower them. We must first ask ourselves how much financial sacrifices we have made to provide them the means to fulfill their sacred duties. Fellow Ambazonians, this is the time for us to draft until we drop. That must be our slogan and rallying cry now. And along the way, we should be asking ourselves some critical questions. Are we still enjoying 3 square meals a day while our boys on the ground lack the basic gear they need to resist the occupiers? Are we still living a life of luxury and comfort while our brave restoration forces lack medical supplies at the front? Are we still throwing big birthday bashes while our restoration forces lack basic communications equipment to maximize their efforts? Are we still going on cruises and expensive vacations while our IDFs on the ground go without food and logistics? Are we still finding excuses not to make the necessary sacrifices and drafting big while our restoration forces lack the game-changing equipment that they so desperately need to bleed the enemy? On a daily basis, how much are we putting aside for our liberation, knowing that only through fierce resistance are we going to liberate our beloved country? Are we providing the federal government and the CIC the means to carry out some of the critical intelligence and other special operations across the national territory? Fellow Ambazonians, as we ponder these questions, we must remember that a goal that is not funded is nothing but a wish. And we must not let Ambazonia die as a wish, because we failed to fulfill our patriotic duties by making the great sacrifices befitting of a great people. Fellow Ambazonians, the war draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No great victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices. We are enough, so let's draft, draft, and draft until we drop. Our existence as a people depends on that.
And now to sports. West Ham forward Michael Antonio says the video assistant referee VAR system needs to be banned.
The Hammers were controversially denied a 90th minute equalizer at Chelsea on Saturday after the VAR intervened. Well, Gabellison has more on sports.
Latest world sports. Football. VAR needs to be banned, says West Ham forward Michael Antonio. West Ham forward Michael Antonio says the video assistant referee VAR system needs to be banned. The Hammers were controversially denied a 90th minute equalizer at Chelsea on Saturday after VAR intervened. Referee's body PGMOL effectively accepted that decision, and a second VAR call at Newcastle United versus Crystal Palace was wrong. It was a madness, that's what I'm going to call it. An actual madness, said Antonio, speaking on the latest episode of the Footballers Football podcast on BBC Sounds. He added, I have said this many times, it needs to be banned. The PGMOL said it will fully cooperate with a Premier League review of last weekend's incidents. The system is in its fourth full Premier League season after it was introduced in 2019. The Premier League claimed the percentage of correct key match decisions rose from 82% without it to 94% in that first season. The purpose is for the VAR to flag clear and obvious errors or serious missed incidents, to advise the on-field referee. It is only used for goals, penalty decisions, straight red cards, or mistaking identity, and there is a high bar for intervention to maintain the pace and intensity of matches. Maxwell Cornet thought he leveled at 2-2 for West Ham at Stamford Bridge, but after being told to look at the monitor by VAR, referee Andrew Madley decided there was a foul on keeper Edward Mendy by Jarrod Bowen and reversed his decision to award a goal. West Ham manager David Moyes called the decision to disallow his side's goal as scandalous. As a player, we all knew it. The incident was nothing, said Antonio. It is all about opinions, about the referee's opinion, about the fourth official's opinion, and about the opinion of whoever is watching, added Antonio. If the referee makes a decision, then there is another person who goes, that might not be the right decision. He goes to the referee, you might have to have another look at that. He is putting doubt in the referee's mind when he is already sure about the decision he has made. He goes over and watches on the monitor, but because someone has already said to him, you might have got it wrong, it has clouded his mind already. The person who is meant to make a decision, who is quite sure of his decision, believes his decision is right, has now got that doubt and feels he needs to change. Or if he doesn't change, wonders if he is going to get into trouble because another referee has told him to change. It is taking the passion away from football because you don't know if you have scored or not. It is pointless. You are spending all this money on VAR for things to still go wrong. Tennis. US Open. Carlos Alcaraz beats Jannik Sinner in marathon win in New York. Spanish teenager Carlos Alcaraz reached his first major semi-final after beating Italy's Jannik Sinner in a US Open thriller, which ended at a record latest time of 2:50 a.m. in New York. Alcaraz 19 saved a match point before clinching an epic 6-3, 6-7, 5-7, 6-7, 0-7, 7-5, 6-3 win over 11-seed Sinner. The third seed will face Francis Tiafoe on Friday for a spot in Sunday's final. The American 24 also plays in the first major semi-final after his 7-6, 7-3, 7-6, 7-0, 6-4 win over Andrei Rublev. A first-time Grand Slam champion is already guaranteed in the men's singles at Flushing Meadows, with Norway's Casper Ruud and Russia's Karin Khachanov contesting the other semi-final. Alcaraz and 23-year-old Ruud also have a shot of becoming the new world number one as an intriguing tournament nears a conclusion. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
And with that sports report, we have come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, here is a recap of our major stories.
A total RAV4 car set ablaze by gunmen in Santa. Chief Ewome Echo John alias Moja Moja cheats that and wins the prize of the most hated. Passengers killed en route to Kumba by unknown gunmen.
Ambazonian parents reject the green, red, yellow La Republic de Cameroon flags in schools in Ambaland is a story we brought to you today, and also some throwback moments of FM Isobu. Also today we told you that floods challenge in-house slave city mayor of Victoria, and in sports, VAR needs to be banned, says West Ham forward Michael Antonio. And that was it for tonight's Undaunted, bringing to the news on Top Stories. On behalf of my co-anchor Steph Smart and the entire Undaunted crew, We say thank you for tuning in. I am Onyi Okbala.
We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you.